Now, I understand for college football coaches, with the pressure there is to win and win big, especially in big schools at big conferences, that you ultimately feel like it is that team above all else. It is you and your legacy of your job, your career above all else. And you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that happens. So that can mean at times utilizing guys in a way that benefits the team more than it does the individual. And on the one hand, I get that. But on the other hand, that is really frustrating to me. Because to me, I would think the best coaches find a way to take the talent that they have and not force them and shoehorn them into a system because they're stubborn to their system, but figure out ways to utilize their talent to get the most out of their talent. I don't know about you, but I would rather get 100% of a guy out of him in a role than 80% of him in a different role because you feel like that's where you can better help the team. To me, I would think, and you have a hard time convincing me otherwise, that getting the absolute best out of him in whatever role it is the best utilization for him. And ultimately will carry the most benefit for the team. I can think about Leonard Floyd at Georgia a couple years ago under Mark Richt. They were bouncing him around all over the damn place. He's playing inside, he's playing outside. And on the one hand, it's cool because it gives him exposure to different positions. It emphasizes his versatility in the minds of NFL scouts. But he didn't quite have the productivity that he could have or maybe should have because, again, he was bouncing all over the damn place. He wasn't able to focus on one role, which should have been as a 3-4 edge rusher or a 4-3 sandbacker that rushed the passer. He wasn't focused on that role that was best suited for him at the NFL level, and therefore getting the most out of himself at the college level, which to me would have had the greater benefit for the team. And I feel like these coaches take advantage of these kids in this way, and they're incredibly selfish because ultimately a lot of these kids, especially your middle level and higher level recruits, are going to these schools with the hope of someday playing in the NFL. And if you really truly care about your players, not only do you want the best for them now, but I would think you would want the best for them long term. And when you're talking about recruiting, yeah, it's great that you win games and stuff, but sometimes you could sit there and go to a place and you can recruit and you could say, hey, look at all these dudes that I put in the NFL. This is your end game. This is where you want to go. Well, I know how to get you there and help you become a star and unleash your full potential. Who gives a crap whether we win 8 games or 10 games? I'm just saying. And I think about the guys like Leonard Floyd, and I see other guys in this draft class, and it is incredibly frustrating to me. Because one, it makes them kind of a hard evaluation because what they did in college, in a lot of ways, isn't what they're going to be in the NFL. And furthermore, it hurt their draft stock by playing out of position or playing in the ill-fitting role for them when they could have been so much more. And you could see that they would have been so much more. And another Georgia linebacker that falls into that category for me this year is Lorenzo Carter. Not quite to the same degree as Leonard Floyd, but they would ask him to do different things that I don't always feel was the best fit for him, that wasn't always the best utilization for him. And as a result, we get here to draft time, and you've got this incredibly big, long, athletic, outside backer, edge rusher that people have all these questions about that they just really shouldn't have to at this point. They should have been answered one way or another. So it's like this guy with massive upside and massive bust potential, and I feel like over the past couple of years, Kirby Smart helped make it that way, and that's unfortunate. But when I look at Lorenzo Carter, he's got great size. You talk about 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds. I mean, he's got size, he's got length, he's an explosive athlete. I mean, he's incredibly quick. You saw his 40 time at the combine, so you know he has jets. He's just a great athlete. Size, quickness, speed. Those things that you can't always coach, Lorenzo Carter has them in great abundance. That athleticism translates in coverage ability. He's a guy that you feel like athletically could hold up on his own in man-on-man situations and in zone in coverage. So it increases his appeal potentially as a 3-down player. He's a pretty reliable tackler. He plays with speed and sometimes some power. Sometimes he plays with a little too much finesse. But he's got an okay feel for the game. considering especially how much he bounced around and did different things. I thought he had a pretty good feel for the game. He plays really, really hard, I thought, relatively consistently, outside of those occasional times where I would like him to play a little stronger and a little more physically. But he's a high-energy, max-effort type of guy. He shows hustle in pursuit and chasing plays down the line and chasing plays down from behind. I also like the fact that he looks to get involved and help finish off plays, help join the pile. Relatively durable, didn't really miss any time with any notable injuries. I look at Lorenzo Carter to me, and I feel like it's a shame that he's not being talked about as a top 10 or top 15 pick in this draft. Because I feel like that's where the talent level is. But there are so many questions about him because he's not a great pass rusher right now. He's got that length and that explosiveness. So in theory, he should be able to bend the edge better than he really does. He doesn't dip his shoulder very well. He doesn't bend very well. He's not a great puncher with his hands. He got to get better there. All that length he has, he doesn't really use it very well. Doesn't have a wide array of pass moves. It's all based off of potential at this point in terms of projecting what he could possibly do and hoping that he's a better NFL pass rusher than he was a college pass rusher. He's decent against the run, but he's not special. He could struggle at times to get off of blocks. Like I said, his awareness and instincts for the game are pretty solid, but there are times where he's late to read the play. He's late to recognize, react, or in some cases anticipate the play. I just watch him, and I'm like, I see the potential with him, and I love the upside. And I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him for reasons I don't really know. I think part of it is because he played in the same linebacking core as Roquan Smith, and as a result, Roquan is going to get far more of the attention, and ultimately I understand that. I also understand that people are going to look at Carter and see an athlete but not much of a football player, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with that assessment. Bottom line is I think Lorenzo Carter is a first-round talent. I think he has more talent and pure upside than somebody like a Harold Landry in this edge rusher class. To me, in terms of 3-4 outside linebackers, he's the best prospect out of all of them in this draft. And if you want to at me and flame on me in the comments, you're welcome to do so. That's fine. This is just what I see. This is just what I believe. I also feel like he could play as a weak or strong side backer in a 4-3 and be pretty successful there with his size, his length, his athleticism. When I look at him on film, he reminds me a lot of Jamie Collins, a guy that I wasn't very high on in 2013, and obviously I was wrong. So I feel like this is one of these cases where I'm trying to project the athlete into the type of player he could become and learn from a previous mistake. And I feel like that's what I'm doing here. I'm sure there are plenty of people that are going to think I'm crazy because I've graded Lorenzo Carter higher than Harold Landry, and that's fine. But I have more confidence in Lorenzo Carter's athletic upside that he will be a more effective edge rusher in the NFL or a more effective player, depending on how he's deployed and how he's utilized when he gets one role and sticks to it, than I am a Harold Landry. I think Lorenzo Carter should be a top 15 or top 20 pick in this draft. I would be surprised if he would go any earlier than like the last 3 or 4 picks in round 1. But if he doesn't go at the end of round 1, he should go sometime early in round 2. And a team I feel like could get a potential steal in Lorenzo Carter.